Well, EA decided to give us Mauricio Ruffy in a surprise update. So we're going to be using him in today's showcase. It's my first time using him. I just loaded up the game, did some warm-ups in practice mode. And this fight's going to be a real good one. This one is a real war. Kind of just going back and forth, just kind of being a bit reckless. But also in this showcase, I have a competitive fight in the last fight. And one where I won pretty easily, so feels like a great balance for a showcase. Different types of fights, not just all domination. His key stats is his 96 punch speed, 96 footwork, 95 punch power. He has that 5-star Celtic cross, spinning heel kick to the head. Of course, knocking out Bobby Green with it in devastating fashion. He's a part of the Fighters camp, which are all undefeated. Their main fighters, that is. Like Kyle Barrio. I know I probably messed up the name. Ruffy, Prates, the main Gene Silva, the main people of the gym. So, pretty cool that we have pretty much all of them now. But yeah, I'm trying to take my time in this fight. But then I started having a little bit too much fun, But that's what games are for. Now we're trying to land that heel kick to the face. But we end up forcing a bit much in this fight anyways, but, we don't care. Cracked him with it right there. Surprised he was able to eat that, probably because, Gaethje does have carved of wood. And it doesn't help that he was lagging a little bit. We hit him with another one. I thought that one was going to knock him out at the very least. He's throwing rolling thunders. We're just going crazy in this fight. It's definitely a fun addition to the lightweight division. The only thing that's really down about him, obviously, is the grappling stats are very low, in the 80s and 3 stars. His cardio is like an 89. But if you're a good striker, you're precise, and you're able to be patient, you could definitely make him work and have some fun. Not sure. I think he is a 4.5 star. Not sure why. But yeah, this Gaethje is wild. We both being wild at this point. Look at that. He counters me with a rolling thunder. I thought I got flash KO'd right there, but we still in the fight. Yeah, these lag spikes are just a bit random. Sometimes in the fight, feels like it's a bit smooth, and then, a couple spikes hit where I'm just missing his startup, frames for his strikes, but we're still trying to make it work. Tries to counter us again with the rolling thunder. He took a little bit too long, I believe. The window closed, so we're able to block it. He does rock us with a flying knee, or a jumping switch knee, sorry. Yeah, I don't really know what he's trying to go for. I thought that was going to be able to interrupt his strike, but it wasn't able to. Yeah, that's Gaethje's guard right there. If you see somebody do that, they're susceptible to straight shots, like your front kicks, your jabs, crosses, your uppercuts. That's what you want to throw at them if they're doing that too much. Because they take no block damage when they're doing that. With, you could head kick them, you could throw hooks. They just won't take any damage on the block. So, definitely throw those straight shots if they're doing that, a lot, If they're just doing it a little bit, don't force it too much. Some people do that to bait out some counters, make you throw straight strikes and slip them, Depends on the level of skill your opponent has. Mixing it up well. Not many people use it, to be honest, though. Trying to take my time. That first round was a bit scary, so I'm not trying to be too crazy. Because we did get hurt a few times. That was a bit of a back and forth round, so definitely not trying to replicate that here, because I might not be able to survive. It's not like I'm a Max Holloway where I got crazy durability. You see, we get rocked right here. I thought that knee was going to be good timing and maybe rock him because the body health was low. But he was able to punch through it. For most part, confident we're going to win this. It's just a matter of time because, his body health's low. And look at that. He's just kind of going to the cage. And just like that, fight is over. Going against a Dustin Poirier. In this fight, we're trying to take our time. Not be as wild that last fight was my first fight in like a day or two. So, you know, kind of wanted to have some fun and brawl a little bit. Now that I got that out of me a bit, you know, now we could go back to being a bit more precise with Ruffy. You know, he's more of a precision striker, counter fighter, kind of like how Conor was, you know. Pre-lightweight days, of course, when he used more of his kicks and he wasn't like really boxing heavy compared to like when he fought Dustin at lightweight. So that's why he draws up a lot of comparisons to like a young Conor that was at like featherweight. But who do you think Mauricio Ruffy is gonna face next? You know, not really sure who he's gonna get next. I'm not sure if it's gonna be pretty sure it's gonna be a ranked opponent. You know, Bobby Green is a well-known name and usually a gatekeeper for, you know, some of the up-and-coming prospects. You know, usually they have to go through the test of going through Bobby Green. You know, Patty did it as well, I think, to get into the rankings or to move up higher. So, you know, I'm not sure who he's really going to take on. The biggest question we do have is we seen him gas before, you know, when he wasn't able to put away his opponent. And also, we haven't seen his grappling tested from a really good grappler just yet. So, you know, there's still some questions there, but his striking skills definitely answered there. You know, he has some crazy talent, IQ. So it's beautiful to watch him, man. You know, especially starting out his career. Like, imagine he just becomes like a legend, you know, a few years from now. Being able to watch a lot of these fighters come from pretty much nothing, being a prelim fighter, to becoming superstars, you know, it's amazing to see. You know, like I told you guys, I'm more of a newer MMA fan. You know, I started watching probably back in 2021 or in the middle of that. Like, my first pay-per-view was Gan versus Ngannou. That was my first one, so, you know, being fans of like guys like Ilya, Aspinall, you know, watching them on fight night cards, prelims, and then watching them become like world beaters, you know, like Ilya knocking out Max and Volk, Aspinall just devastating everybody in the top 10 in heavyweight. Just beautiful to see. I never got to experience that, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, but this fight was more of the competitive fight I was telling you guys about. You know, this guy was using Conor, and, you know, he was, you know, playing footsies where he's going in and out with the footwork, right? So he's not really entering the pocket when I think he's going to. So a lot of people overthrow and react with strikes or combos every time, you know, he moves towards, you know, his opponent. That's probably what he's used to. But with two good players that understand that, you're not really going to see people or like two competitive players overthrow too much. You know, because we're playing footsies, you know, we're used to it ourselves. So I see that he's doing that. So I'm trying to take my time because I know he's a good player. He's really hell-bent on landing the body kick. So I'm just going to make sure I watch out for it. I threw the elbow because I was sure he was going to return with something. So the elbow interrupted him. Trying to use those knees a little bit when he's in the pocket. Punish him with a nice 1-2-3. And then another knee. Look at that. Nice combo. And then drop him right here. I'm going to try to get him out of here with some ground and pound. Not able to. He was pretty much one shot right there. One more shot probably would have put him away. But we were not able to. I was trying to push him, but, you know, he landed a decent amount. So I'm going to relax. No, we did win the round. For the most part, I'm definitely trying to really hit that body to tax his cardio. And also to give us different ways to rock him. You know, if he only has to worry about his head health and his block, you know, then it's going to be a lot easier to counter and defend. So that's why I like to mix levels up as often as I can. See, like, he was used to getting hit in the body, so I just threw a head kick. We landed, you know, because we got him thinking about his body health. So it helps us create more offense and get damage in different ways. You know, trying to stand our ground, from time to time. If you notice, I'm giving him different looks. Like I kind of play like a kickboxing sniper and don't throw too much. Like I'll throw like a 1-2, teep to reset. Then I start pressuring him, trying to see what he's going to throw in the pocket to maybe get a counter out. You know, and then sometimes I awkwardly stand in the pocket and stand my ground and throw combos and exchange. So the constant switch ups in my rhythm and how I play, it would make it a lot harder for him to make his reads. Because I'm kind of giving him multiple play styles in one. You know, like becoming an above average like Div 20 or just a regular Div 20 is being able to play in different styles. You know, because if you're just dedicated to one style, unless you're the greatest at it, you're not going to really be the most successful because you're going to face people that are able to counter a set style. It's always been like that. Like, for example, before I got better at boxing, in the game, of course, you know, I would lose to guys who would pressure me and box me a lot because I was more of a kickboxer. But now that I learned how to pressure better with my boxing combos and exchanging, you know, now I could just switch it up in an instant for the most part. See, we're standing there exchanging. We stood there and just threw an awkward overhand. You know, sometimes things like that will land. You know, you see, now I'm resetting the distance. See, I'm staying here, resetting. I'm just doing different things, different rhythms, and it's kind of making it really hard for him to know what he should do. And the more he's thinking about what he should do, this is going to happen right here. If you're thinking too much and you don't really know what to do, and you're not trying to invoke any offense, you will start getting battered pretty much. That's how this game works. We're able to get a good nose break as well. You know, his head off's already low. No, he's starting to whiff those. He's worried about the body, so I'm coming in with those uppercuts. Drop him again. We're trying to get him out of here as fast as we can. We're able to get him out with some nice ground and pound. GG's to our opponent. And yeah, Mauricio Ruffy is definitely a fun pick. Definitely recommend giving him a try.